What's up? Hey, hello, everyone. Wow, today we are back going to be talking about Survivor Season 36, Ghost Island, Episode 4. Very exciting. I'm high-key angry by this vote out because Brendan was my winner pick, but my name is Rachel.
And I'm Alyssa, and I'm also high-key angry about this vote out, just because, why can we not vote out one of the annoying people or one of the people that has, zero screen time? Like, why do we have to vote out one of the people who's semi-tolerable? Like,
No, honestly, I thought it was being set up so well for a Bradley blindside or maybe a Chelsea idol out because we have not seen anything from Chelsea until this episode. So it would have been the perfect setup. But no, my winner pick, the second oldest person on this season, gets voted out. And I honestly feel like I had Bradley going home second on this season. So I feel like because he's made it at least semi-far and he's made it past his first tribal council, I feel like Bradley can go far. And Michael, who has made it out of 2 votes where his name has been brought up, I think Michael and Bradley can go pretty far in the game now.
I really hope that Bradley does not get any further in the game, because he said something this episode about, this is what's going to make me a brilliant lawyer, and I'm just like, I actually wanted to slam my head against the wall every time he spoke.
Bradley is very attractive, though, so that's an upside. It would have been perfect. Everything that he said this season has been either very cocky, as that whole lawyer statement, or just very annoying. He's complaining about sand last episode. This episode, he's not wanting to work with other people. So I felt like it was setting it up really perfectly. And I sort of, I guess, spoiled the episode for myself because I was on Facebook in class and then it had a GIF, whatever, on the Facebook Survivor page that we're on, and it showed Stephanie and Bradley at Tribal Council. So I was like, well, fuck. Now I know who wins the immunity challenge, and I was thinking, oh, Bradley would probably go home over Steph. So then I was unpleasantly surprised when our boy Brendan goes home.
Yeah.
Well,
I have to do so many deep breathing exercises after this episode. Oh,
I think great season so far. Honestly, every single vote out, I mean, I wasn't really expecting it. So I think we'll talk about this vote out. But going back, and we see Chris versus Dom, their feud times 100 million. Like, this shit needs to end. And it starts after Tribal Council. We see Angela pissed as hell, which, as she should be. Her own alliance just stabbed her in the back. And Wendell and Dom are seemingly at the bottom. And I don't know. I have a problem with this because Dom basically tells everyone that he has the idol. He tells Wendell that he has the idol. So basically everyone on the whole island knows. And then we see him later telling Laurel that he has the idol. Like, what good is it then if everyone knows?
yeah. I also think, it's one thing to be like, oh, if you become a part of my alliance, I'll use this idol on you, but he wasn't using it as leverage. And I was like, boy, if you're going to be telling people this, at least, use it to your advantage. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, telling Wendell made sense because, okay, you two are seemingly at the bottom. You can shake things up. You can idol someone out on the majority side. But then, I don't know. I feel like because he did the whole thing, oh, showing Chris I have a real fake idol or whatever. And then he tells everyone on the original Orange tribe that he has this fake idol, and then now he's telling people he has a real idol. It just seems like it makes all of his stories very hard to trust, and I feel like he's someone who is difficult to trust in the end because he keeps on changing his story.
Yeah, I think the only way that this serves him is that even though Dominic's really flaky, Chris is equally just bad. It pissed me off so much when Angela was like, oh yeah, a bunch of people voted for me, and his immediate response was, oh, they must have been trying to get to me.
Yikes.
How self-absorbed do you have to be?
No, yeah, I had that written down too. I feel like everything with Chris, he was so warm last episode with his whole Ghost Island screen time, to come to this episode to be making everything about himself, not trying to console Angela, like people just stabbed you in the back, but he's like, "Oh yeah, they're trying to get to me." Like, dude, I don't know. I feel like Chris does have other sides to him, and I don't know with Chris. He's just, I guess him and Dom, now I'm sort of like, I don't know. I feel like I would just want both of them out because both of them are just have so many flaws.
Yeah. Yeah. I would want to see Chris go out before Dominic, though, just because Dominic's making like stupid game decisions, but Chris just seems to be making like stupid personal decisions. And like, I'd rather see someone who's like kind of bad at playing the game stay than someone who's just like a dick person.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because last podcast we were talking about, oh, okay, James wanted to vote out someone like Morgan because then you alienate Chris and Angela onto your side, and they're the weaker of the pairings with the Wendell Dominic pair. So that's like great game move. You want, even if they are more annoying, you would want to work with the weaker people in the long run because then you can beat them in the end. But I think we see it differently this episode than James maybe planned or wanted, like we saw last episode, because then we see Laurel and Donathan. Donathan gets screen time again, and they like Wendell and Dom better than Chris. So I think that really goes to show it's the easy vote out, maybe, or versus who you like more. So it is all about relationships. And I think, yeah, Laurel is playing more with her heart. And I was excited to see Donathan talking, maybe, and getting more Survivor airtime because he seems like he's just there for the experience.
Yeah, I feel like it was good to see Donathan actually trying to play the game instead of just talking about how he's like a gay boy from Eastern Kentucky. Like, I was just like, okay, maybe he's redeemable. But yeah, I feel like also the interesting thing about Chris versus Dominic is that they didn't have any like one-on-one conversations this episode. So it was just everyone around them kind of orbiting and like trying to decide which side of the war to be on.
Which, yeah, I mean, yes, okay, you really, really dislike this one person, and that's their downfall. Last episode, we see they had technically they have the majority, even though Chris does go to Ghost Island, but because they have this stupid infighting, they're losing numbers. And when it's so early, I feel like you can't have these stupid feuds to be fighting about for their male alpha dominance. So I don't know. I feel like with the whole Chris and Dom thing, like we've been saying the past 3 episodes, because they are both still in the game, the entire story arc that we see from the tribe that they're on is totally just revolving around them. Like, Libby didn't talk this time again. We didn't really see much from anyone else on this tribe. And it just takes up all the screen time because when we go to the immunity challenge, we have not seen anything from Orange Tribe before the immunity challenge, and then whoa, they're going to tribal. So I don't know, I just wish we would see more of other things. And I guess like it is an interesting story arc to see these two feuding it out, but if one of them isn't going to like win the game, it's going to be a short-term payout for what we're seeing.
Yeah, I feel like the fact that Orange like didn't get anything before the immunity challenge made it really obvious that they were gonna lose. Because I was just kind of like, there's no way that they would like not show Orange for an entire week. Like that wouldn't make sense. So
yeah, especially because the preview was Stephanie crying. So then, like last episode, we guess, okay, it's probably Orange going to tribal. But yeah, jumping ahead of ourselves, we also see Dominic get the legacy advantage. So I don't know, straight up after this episode, seeing Michael misplay the idol, every advantage is like cursed basically, because everyone who has held an advantage so far this season has either misplayed it like we saw this episode or has been voted out with it. So maybe I feel like Dominic could be the one to reverse the curse, haha. but I don't know. Now he has two things that he's holding, and I feel like at least he's not being a blabbermouth about the legacy advantage.
Yet.
True.
I agree totally with what you said about like how everything's being misplayed. And it kind of makes me worry just because it's like these are all people who like call themselves super fans, yet they can't play an idol right. And like I feel like it's more frustrating that they're making all of these mistakes because they call themselves super fans and because they know like, oh, this is how this person messed up and they still can't get it right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just sort of glad. I feel like Morgan going home makes the whole legacy advantage thing more interesting because now Stephanie doesn't know who has the advantage. So it's sort of this added layer of Stephanie knows that a legacy advantage is out there, but who has it? And you could maybe predict, okay, it could be someone on her original tribe. So it either is Wendell, Dominic, or Wendell, Dominic, or who's the other, or Angela, I mean, technically, or Chris, someone on that tribe. And maybe you could give it to someone on another tribe. You know, the rules about that, I guess, aren't really stated that well, but I think like that's super interesting because now you just have to be wary at 13 and 6. Like, who are you voting for? Because it's basically like a hidden immunity idol that this person has.
Yeah, and I feel like the fact that Stephanie knows like when it can be played kind of helps her a little bit because it's like she knows like you said, you have to be wary at those votes because you don't know who has it, but I feel like she can use like deduction. So I think it'll be really interesting to see if she does anything with the information that she has about it.
Yeah, I think that's just like it's gonna be so interesting at 13 or at 6 whenever it's played, and if yeah, like she tries to build bonds with the people on purple, but I mean technically Morgan could have given it to Libby. You don't know who she was close with on that tribe if you are someone looking in from the other tribe. So it's just a lot of speculation of like who do you think she could have given this powerful advantage to? So I think that's interesting. That'll be interesting if maybe Dominic will use it and give it to someone else because he loves blabbing his mouth about things to other people. So Dominic, I think he could use it as a way to gain trust on his side or build an alliance if he's low in numbers. And I don't know, or he could keep it for himself. He's talking a lot.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just
To the reward challenge.
yeah.
I really love these physical challenges. I think they're sort of scary though because everyone's just grabbing onto each other, everything like that. And I really, really love like the sand challenges that we've seen in Brain Brawn Beauty 1 and Heroes versus Villains. I just love the physical challenge. Like it just gets everyone down and dirty and it's so much fun to watch. So I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, I like it better when these like super physical challenges are in the water though, because like the one challenge that they like literally banned after Heroes versus Villains like got to the point where it was like scary instead of exciting. So I like it better when the challenges are in the water because there's less chance that someone's going to be like horribly irreversibly injured. And there was like one moment in the challenge when Desiree was like had like Laurel in a headlock or something, and Jeff was like, "Watch the neck," and I was like, "I hope I don't watch someone die today."
Yeah, that's why I feel like maybe they stopped doing stand challenges because we see like, oh, Rupert breaks a toe, blah blah blah, kind of thing. So maybe water fighting is more safe. I also really like the challenges where people are like standing on the little like podium where there's mud on the side or if the water is on the side and you have the big blocks where you have to push people off. I think those are super interesting also to watch. So I really like this challenge. There's no topless people this time, as we saw like with Michaela in Millennials versus Gen X or with Sugar in Heroes versus Villains. So no nudity this time, but I think I thought it was very interesting as well that the Ghost Island people aren't safe anymore. So they go to Ghost Island after reward. They are back in time for the immunity challenge for tribal council, and I really like this. I think making someone safe and automatically safe. It does, yes, add another layer, but I think having them leave and maybe miss out on some of the social politics for a few days and then come back to maybe go to tribal council if they lose the immunity makes it more interesting. And it's not just like, oh, let me send you every time so you get a free ride to the final tribal council.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot higher stakes that come with like having to go to Ghost Island and miss out on that like period of talking and still have to do the immunity challenge. And I also think that Kellen on Ghost Island this time was super interesting and also continued my theory that like basically what you need to do is go to Ghost Island so you can have screen time.
No, I wrote that down. I said TBH, you want to go to Ghost Island so you get more screen time? LMAO. So basically, if you want screen time and you want your story arc to progress and you don't want to be someone like Chelsea with no screen time, you got to go to Ghost Island. And I feel like with Kellen especially, she gets a lot of screen time considering she hasn't gone to tribal council before this episode. So I think that's good stakes for Kellen. And she even, maybe it's just coincidence, when she was picking the rocks, she's like, oh, haha, biggest survivor fear is like getting the white rock. And then whoop-de-doo, she ends up going to Ghost Island. And what I thought was really interesting was Kellen at Ghost Island says that she wants to play the social game. And I think Kellen is doing it really well compared to how Bradley is doing it. Because last episode we see Kellen, she's being friends with all the girls, stuff like that, but we don't really see her shut down the original Malolos. So I don't know. I feel like Kellen is working that aspect but better rather than Bradley, who's just like, oh, what are you gonna do? It's 5-4.
Yeah, I feel like Kellen is just one of those people who's like genuinely likable. Like she just seems like a likable person. And I feel like you said, she's definitely doing a lot better than most people as far as like balancing strategy with social.
Yeah, so Kellen at Ghost Island, she does get to play the game. So also with these kind of things, because you do have to hit the little urn in chronological order, I feel like you could, as someone who has maybe gone to Ghost Island before, maybe predict when the next one would come up. So I would say maybe every 3 or 4, it might be back to back if you're looking at how many urns there are and then how many days until like, oh, the merge, until like, oh, when it's too late in the game to have a ton of advantages out. And so Kellen decides not to play the game. So if you want to play the game, you will. If you play the game and don't get the advantage, you will lose your vote at tribal council. So Kellen's whole reasoning was like it's a 5-4 split. If she loses her vote, it'd be 4-4 and something could go down. So she didn't want to risk her vote basically for the strength of her five sum. And I don't know. I was sort of like about this. I think yes, in the short run, maybe the risk is too big because it would be a 4-4 vote at tribal council if you don't pick the correct thing to get the advantage. But I think in the long run, Kellen could have had maybe a game-changing advantage that could have saved her at a vote, could have maybe gotten someone out at a vote. So I feel like in the long run, maybe picking the advantage. But I mean, yeah, you never know. So.
I think part of it is like you can't play the long game if you don't play the short game. Like if Kellen decided to give up her vote and she got voted out at this tribal council, it doesn't matter what like advantage she gets or doesn't get. And also there's only a 50-50 shot that she gets the advantage. And I think the fact that like Jacob got the advantage when he played kind of is getting us in the mindset of like, oh, they're going to get an advantage when really it's like not a guarantee.
Yeah, I guess like if Kellen's back were pushed up, definitely you would want to risk it. But yeah, I guess short run versus long run, you were right. If you aren't going to make it past X, Y, Z votes until you can play the advantage, use the advantage, whatever, then I guess it isn't worth it. Like Jacob getting a shitty legacy advantage that he can't even use. I mean, his back was pushed up against the wall. He had to do what he had to do. So yeah, I guess, I guess we'll see how this plays out for Kellen if the next person who goes to the Ghost Island. It'll be interesting, I guess, to see maybe they will reuse the advantage that Kellen would have won in the next person who goes to Ghost Island and gets to play the game. So it would be interesting to see what advantage Kellen gave up, or if Kellen gave up this advantage, now it's sort of out of the game and like the next one is a brand new thing that was like the next in line for advantages. So I think that would be really interesting.
Yeah, I think the one thing is, since Kellen didn't play the game, like, she doesn't know what she's missing out on. So I feel like that's kind of good for her, because it's like, you can't really miss something that you don't have.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see how it plays out. You know, you never know, and that's the fun about Survivor, I guess. You never know until it's too late and you are being snuffed. So, immunity challenge sort of ruined it for myself seeing who went to tribal council, but major comeback by the purple tribe. So, that was very fun to watch.
Yeah, I feel like that, like, throwing balls onto the, like, a narrow ramp thing, I never considered the possibility that you could knock your own ball off, but they did it like 4 separate times during this challenge. And it's like, you have the entire space. I don't understand why they like were focusing like just on like the center third of the like railing.
The stress made them only want to shoot in that area. But yes, I mean, that was the reward challenge. The end was super interesting. Everything else was like, yeah, they did it. It's done. Major comeback. I think good for Purple. Them going to tribal council, definitely, I feel like we would have seen a Dominic Chris feud play out. So I'm sort of glad we got to see some more interesting things happening this episode. But like I said, we did not see a single thing from Orange Tribe Beach before going. And when they lose immunity, so I was sort of like, WTF, okay, Purple gets the first half of the episode, you're going to tribal to get the second half. But I feel like we have a lot of unanswered questions from tribal council because we didn't see a lot from Orange Tribe.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I feel like when a tribe is going to tribal council, like, you need some of the power dynamics so you know how they were thinking before they were in trouble. So I didn't really like the way this was set up, where it was like all of one tribe before and then all of the other tribe after, just because like I feel like it doesn't give as nuanced of a view of the tribe dynamics.
Yeah, because we see Bradley, he's saying he wants to play like Boston Rob and Kim Spradlin. Fantasy to someone mentioning, oh, Russell, Boston Rob, Parvati, wow. He wants to stonewall them because they have the numbers, keeping all the ducks in the row. And yes, this is a private confessional, but my man, Bradley, why are you so cocky? And like, honestly, it's sort of condescending.
Yeah, I don't understand how I feel condescended to when he's literally talking to a camera about something that has nothing to do with me. But I was just like, ugh, he's so unlikable, and I don't understand it, because it's not even like he's like, of all of the ways to be unlikable, this is probably the best way, because he's not being like totally rude or anything. But at the same time, it's just like, why do you say these things?
Yeah, and I think there's a way to play your private confessionals like Tyson. He was semi-condescending in all of his confessionals, but he played it off in a funny way. So it's like, I like Tyson. He's funny, even though he's sort of like bad-mouthing his fellow tribe mates, talking about how dumb they are in confessionals. It's very entertaining because Tyson just has that go-lucky kind of attitude, which Bradley, I feel like, doesn't have. He just comes off as straight condescending. And I feel like Bradley, after making it past this episode, could very well be the villain of the season after maybe Chris gets voted out, because I feel like every single thing that has come out of Bradley's mouth has been condescending or him complaining, which is sort of funny because I hope Bradley isn't like that in real life. But I also think it's funny. Laurel gets a sort of shout out about, oh, I went to Yale. We need James to talk about Harvard. Bradley talks about law, but he does not say UCLA. So, and yeah, Wendell talks about UPenn. So everyone gets their school shout out, but Bradley does not.
Yeah, I feel like Bradley being condescending and kind of annoying is just setting it up so that when he does get voted out, everyone will be like, oh, thank God. rather than, so I feel like he's probably going to get voted out in like one of those like epic battles against someone else, and then like when he gets voted out, everyone's going to be like cheering for whoever is like going against him. So
Yeah, and I just think with this episode, Bradley has bad people management. When Steph tries to like make an effort to talk to people, Bradley's just like, oh yeah, we'll see. But I mean, like, what if you need these people later? What if you are in the minority? These people sure as hell won't want to work with you after you are not even wanting to talk 1 ounce of strategy with them. And yes, there's a thing like, oh, you don't want to give these people false hope because they'll be butthurt after you vote them out kind of thing. But there's just a certain extent where you have to be friendly with people in order to make them maybe want to work with you if you are pushed up against the wall later. So I feel like Bradley, bad people management, maybe need to work on it.
yeah, I feel like that's definitely a problem for like, I feel like all of the people who are struggling this season are struggling because they have poor people management.
Yeah, so I don't know. Bradley's confessionals, he's like calls Brendan docile and like a bad dad, like a dad who's bad at pep talks. So I was like, damn, my man Brendan really being dragged through the gutter. Chelsea finally talks, and she's actually the one who thinks of the plan to vote out one of the guys because the other 4 would not be expecting it. Uh, and so I don't know, with all of this, I sort of wanted to see one of the majority 5 be idled out because they are just being so like over the top about the stonewalling stuff. And just Sebastian, my dude, he's just so weird. Talking about tropical penguins in this confessional and big boys from his weird laffy taffy things. I just want to see Sebastian get more confessionals so he'll make all these weird analogies.
I want to see Sebastian get to the merge so that we can see what his Ponderosa video is like. Like, what does Sebastian do in his free time?
Talks about penguins and Laffy Taffy, banana flavored. So going on to the 4 before tribal council, they tell Michael tells the other 4 about him having the idol, and I think yes, this is really good because everyone needs to be in the loop because you all, even if you might all 4 not like each other, you are forced to work together in this situation. And like I said, I wanted to see a big idol play, and I think when they were talking about maybe convincing Sebastian or Chelsea to flip, I think that's smart thinking. But like we said, we never saw this in the episode. We don't know how hard they tried talking to them, if Sebastian or Chelsea were maybe thinking about flipping. So I really wish we would have seen some of that because it would have added more to the story.
Yeah, I get that they're working with limited time, but like there are so many like juicy tidbits. Like there's some days that I wish that Survivor episodes were like twice as long, just because I feel like the more you can understand like the social interactions between players, the easier it is to determine like who's getting voted out. And I feel like sometimes we don't get like enough of like the backstory, you know?
Yeah, so basically that's all we see from the 4 before tribal council. And tribal council, the 4 at the bottom call the 5 out, and I'm like, that's great plan. You're at the bottom, you're pushed up against the wall. Like we said last episode, you have nowhere to go, so might as well bring all the stops. And I think the 5 knew that, like, oh, you can't listen to anything that they say because they are desperate. And Michael, he commanded this tribal council. I am like, for an 18-year-old at this tribal council, he was so calm and collected. And I don't know, I think Michael did an amazing job at tribal.
Yeah, and I feel like his story about like the idol having like double uses was really like clever given the context of the idol that he had. And also, I feel like if there was going to be anything that like pushed people to flip, it was going to be the fact that like you have a 50-50 chance of like being wrong. And I feel like when we say 50-50, I feel like people don't understand how like unsure that is, because like 50% is not great odds.
Yeah, so I loved Michael's story at tribal. I think making up like the whole James Idol thing, yes, because he had to and was voted out. amazing story to make up and say that this one idol can save two people. I think the fault in their plan was saying that all them four were voting Bradley, because now it makes it no risk for the other five. Like, okay, oh well, if me, Sebastian, I don't flip, I'm not losing anything besides Bradley, who maybe I think is annoying. So who cares if Bradley goes home as long as it's not me? I feel like with the whole lie, with the idol, with everything, I think the four should have not maybe have said who was going home, but I don't know. I feel like when you're like, okay, Bradley's going home, why would you flip? Because you get no reward because you're not going home even if Bradley does go home. I don't see like the reward or risk factor being that high for that, because okay, Sebastian, I'm not going to flip because that shows my alliance. I'm not trustworthy. And then, oh, Bradley goes home because of the double idol. Like, it doesn't really affect me that much, and Bradley goes home. Great.
I feel like what they should have done instead was be like, and we're taking suggestions for who of the five we're going to vote out. Because then, like, if you are really annoyed by someone in your alliance and you want to be able to get them out and you need the numbers to do that, it's like, okay, I get the numbers to vote out someone I don't like within my own alliance, but I also don't have that high of a risk because I know that, like, you know,
Yeah,
you
like
can.
going to Sebastian, like, hey, buddy, who do you want to vote out, man? And then if he has someone that I don't think Sebastian thinks that much, so that might not work. Desiree, but the other two, I don't think they're not that. I don't know. They're just there, I feel like. But Desiree, okay, who do you want out? Who do you think is a big threat to you winning the game? We'll work with you. Let's vote them out. That could be one strategy. Or I think another strategy could be, since you are pushed up against the wall, the four could say, Sebastian, we are voting you out unless you flip and vote with us. So that makes it so that you need to flip 100% or my dude Sebastian goes home. So I feel like with that, at least there's more risk and reward. If Sebastian doesn't flip, okay, he's going home, versus, oh, Sebastian, if I don't flip, Bradley goes home. Doesn't matter to me. It's not me going home.
Yeah. Like, you need to put on the heat, man.
So with that, I think new strategy, honestly, you can basically make up anything you want about an advantage or an idol, I think, in today's game. And I think that's how the game is evolving, because anything can be believable. You never know, like, oh, this is a new season where they're introducing a new super idol, two idols being put together to save someone using an idol after the votes have been read. You can pretty much make up whatever you want about an advantage or idol or anything that you have, and I think that could be very useful in future seasons for people playing the game.
Yeah, I feel like part of it is like you need to understand how survivor advantages work, in the sense like you need to understand like what a good amount of power is. So I think that'll be interesting, just because like the reason why Michael's like bluff worked, well, kind of worked, was the fact that it made sense in context. Like, if someone were to pull out a random ass idol and be like, oh yeah, this idol gives me the power to save two people, everyone would be like, honey, no. Because like that's just not the way it works. But I feel like if you have a solid backstory and a solid reason, like, oh, this is the reason why this mechanic of the game is the way it is, then, you know.
Yeah, I was like, the James double idol, that is just so smart. Good on Michael for thinking of it, or if people helped him. Like, that is very, very believable. And Michael is just so calm and collected at Tribal, even with his semi-threatening statements. And I think amazing for an 18-year-old to do. Michael, yeah, I think he's surprising a lot of people. Definitely surprising me, considering he has so much grace for such a young person. I still don't understand how he works in real estate as an 18-year-old, but I follow him on Instagram now, and he does do work. So very confused about that. But yeah, the five stay together makes sense. I feel like not enough pressure was put on them, because why vote against one of your own and be totally outcasted later in the game? So I don't see why you would flip if you were one of the five. And I think when Michael goes to Jeff with the idol. He says, I'm playing it for Brendan. We see a very, very quick shot of Bradley's face making some sort of reaction. So I feel like maybe a strategy could be, saying I'm playing it for Stephanie, look at the reactions. I'm playing it for Brendan, look at the reactions, and just see where people might make like, a twitch or a fuck, like I'm about to be voted out kind of thing.
Yeah. I feel like that would work for like the first two maybe, but after that you'd have to like just guess, because I feel like people wouldn't let that work indefinitely.
Yeah, I really, really wanted to see a successful idol play. I like Brendan. Damn, I really thought he was going far. I mean, it was really set up for for a Bradley Chelsea vote out, I feel like. So, sort of bummed about Brendan going home. Damn my winner pick. But I think because Brendan left, I think Michael can go very far in the game, and Michael is definitely proving himself to be smart and everything like that. Really thought there would be a blind side of Bradley. I think Bradley is being portrayed as a villain this season and could very well be a villain this season. So I am excited.
I also feel like Brendan was kind of like the leader figure in that tribe, so there's going to be kind of like a power vacuum where like someone's going to want to step up and be the new leader of the tribe, which will be interesting because like we've talked about how like leaders most of the time don't get that far. So
Bradley said that this episode too.
Yeah, so I wonder like if the power vacuum will suck someone else up and doom them to failure as well.
Yeah, and I think for Michael, he like the whole Jeremy kind of alpha male strategy. Michael, super attractive, super fit. I feel like he needs to surround himself with a bunch of strong men in order to deflect the bullets from coming his way. Because 4 votes, his name has already come up twice as a potential vote out. Not too good, but we know Michael can find an idol. So, my dude, I think next time, yikes. Sebastian and Jenna, question mark. So I guess, I don't know. I think that's very interesting. For maybe Jenna is only being flirtatious because they are on the bottom. And yes, that's a good strategy because Sebastian is probably the one that would most easily flip on that side. So I think that should be really interesting if it is real or if it's fake. I'm hoping it's fake because I feel like they don't look good together. At least Taylor and Figgy looked good together, even though that was very problematic. But
Yeah, I just feel like in general, like I don't like real showmances, like people who are actually like emotionally invested in that relationship. So we'll have to see.
yeah, unless it is like Cody and Jessica from Big Brother going on to win the Amazing Race and then getting married. So that is very, very cute. But yeah, I'm really hoping that Jenna is just using her looks and stuff like that to maybe flip someone onto their side, and that would be some mastermind gameplay.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, we also see Donathan and Chris maybe bonding. That seems interesting. That would be a very WTF, considering Donathan and Chris come from very different walks of life.
Yeah, I feel like one of the things that they really like to talk about in Survivor is like, oh, anyone can like be friends with anyone. Like I feel like they like to show kind of the like weird relationships, like the JT and the Steven, where it's like in real life these people would never like come together, but Survivor brought them together or whatever. So
Yeah, so that was this episode. Podcasting on Friday, so we're early. That's exciting. I'm very excited for next week. What is to come? Yeah, 16 people left in the game. Maybe another tribe swap in a few episodes. But yeah, I feel like a lot of the storylines, they need to start having new things come on our screen besides Dominic versus Chris, so we can have some things that we are rooting for. But I think I need to change my winner pick, I guess. So maybe Michael, even though 18-year-old winning, that would be some crazy shit. So that's exciting.
Yeah. I think it's interesting too because Michael's like lie about his age seems to be like working out well for him. So
He
I'm
straight looks 23 though, so
yeah.
dude can work it. Dude can work in real estate. How do you do that as an 18-year-old? Is a model? Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe Kellen. She's doing well. So I guess we shall see the rest. Very exciting. I'm going to learn how to play poker. That's exciting. Yeah. Anything else, Alyssa?
If you have comments about this episode, put them in the comments section. Wow, I'm really tired right now. That sentence didn't make much sense. But yes, comment down below with your thoughts, questions, anything you think that we should have said, but we totally didn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you should definitely watch live because we have some people chatting in the live chat right now. I guess Adam, My World, and Trope 13. Super exciting stuff. So I don't know. We love talking about this, and I guess we shall see you next time.
Bye.